check the audio. Yeah, the audio latency compared to what? Like if I go up to the.
Sure.
Yeah,
Say something?
oh yeah, I did need to announce. Eventually you'll see me.
Did everyone give you a...
I see you
Hello.
in the frame right now.
Did you vote for equal
Hello.
president?
Yeah, audio's fine.
I don't know.
Does it look like it's moving with my mouth?
Yeah.
Okay. Yay, okay, it's not, it's,
Laura, I need to leave at 4:15.
sounds good, okay.
Do you want me to make the announcement?
Yes, please. Oh,
Is
they're
mine
right there.
the full one or the half-eaten one?
The fourth one.
The full one.
Yeah. Just checking. Yay.
It's time to hear about my life
Were you
story.
looking at
Yes.
It's time to open up about my childhood trauma.
You don't have to, you don't want to. But, if it's entertaining, maybe, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm scared.
Don't be scared, you can, it's just supposed to be like a conversation. Yeah.
Very casual.
No expectations.
No expectations. Legs look great. Thanks. Just for you.
Count how many times you pause.
How many times I pause?
Yeah.
Probably a lot.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Emily Chen's senior interview. All right. To start off the interview, please tell everyone, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's a stressful time because it's the end of the semester, so I have a lot of performances coming up. And so I'm a little bit stressed, but overall I'm doing pretty well.
That's good to hear. So, also for the viewers, please tell them your name, major, and age.
My name is Emily Chen. I am 19 years old, and I'm in my 4th year. I'm graduating this May, and I am a music major with an emphasis in piano performance.
Awesome. So, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Hacienda Heights La Puente area. So I live in La Puente, but I went to school in Hacienda Heights.
Mm.
And I've just been there my whole life.
Where is that relative to here?
It's like southeast.
Mm.
It's like 40-minute drive away. It's close to
Aw.
Diamond Bar, if you know where that is.
So, do you commute here?
Yes. In my first years, I used to take the bus.
Oh.
And then COVID happened, so obviously we were all at home. And then I got my license. So now I do a little bit of both because I don't have my own car. So I drive my mom's. So if my mom is not using the car, I'll drive to school. But if she is, I'll take the bus.
Cool. What were your expectations of EEP before joining versus what it was actually like?
I don't really know about my expectations. I didn't really know what to expect. I just kind of heard about the program. I knew it was like for accelerated learning and for people that were a little bit above the rest of their classes at school. And so I guess one expectation was, oh, there's going to be a lot of smart people.
Mm.
That's kind of the only expectations I had. But then when I got here, I met a lot of wonderful friends, and I realized they're not just nerds. They're not just like smart academically. They're also really fun people to hang out with, and I think it's nice. We have a good variety of different majors, at least in my friend group. There's like STEM majors, music majors. We have Erin. Yeah.
That's great to hear. Did you know that you wanted to do music coming into EEP?
I did. I started learning music when I was 3,
Oh,
and my
wow.
mom's a piano teacher. So I kind of had to learn piano when I was younger. And at first I didn't really like it because it was always my mom telling me to go. It was almost like a chore. She'd be like, go practice, go do this, go do that. And it just added a lot of stress to my life. And so for a while I didn't like it as much. But then when I got into EEP, I realized I actually do like it. Because as I got older, my mom kind of stopped yelling at me as much to go practice. She became less strict. And that's when it was upon me to like, oh, if I want to keep going, I have to practice by myself. It's not, my mom's not there to like tell me to do XYZ anymore. I have to do it myself if I want to do it. If I want to quit, I can quit. But if I want to keep going, I just have to keep practicing. And so I guess in high school is when I really realized like this is what I want to do. And I was lucky enough to go to high school for 2 years before coming here. So I'm actually on the older side of EEP, and I think that really helped me realize my passion before I got into college, which was really nice because I know some people get in super early and they're not quite sure what they want to do yet. But for me, I had enough time. Yeah, it was like a natural thing. Just slowly, as I learned music, I began to realize that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
That's really awesome to hear. So once you were given that sort of agency, you were able to enjoy it more?
Yeah, once it was less of like other people, like my mom, my other piano teachers, once they stopped pushing me as much, I realized it's like upon myself. If I want to continue, I got to do it myself. No one else is going to do it for me anymore.
That's really like inspirational.
Yeah, it became less of a chore and more like something that I wanted to do.
So what advice would you give to yourself in your first semester of college?
In my first semester of college, I think I would tell myself to be more open-minded. I felt kind of out of place when I was at EEP because everyone was a STEM major. Back then, Erin hadn't declared her major yet, so I was like the only music major. A lot of people were like, "Oh, you're a music major? Well, that's a little weird." And I was surrounded by these people that were all very smart academically, and like I was not like the top of the class or anything like that. There were people that were like, extremely smart. I felt a little bit out of place. Like, oh, these people. They're so good at math, they're so good at writing, and the only thing I'm good at is music, and I couldn't really find my place because no one else could really understand like why I chose to go down this path. And so I kind of shut myself in like my little box a little bit. I talked to like the same 2 people and I didn't really go out and talk to other people. And also because I was the only music major, I had a really hard time trying to navigate the courses when it was time to enroll for my second semester. And I remember being so scared to like write an email to the department chair. I'd like write her like essays because I was so nervous. And now we like email each other sometimes in like less than 5 words. It's like, see you later or something like that. And so if I were to go back, I just tell myself to be more open-minded and to just have patience because now I have an amazing group of friends in EEP and outside of EEP, and I tell myself to be a little more outgoing, try to put myself out there a little more.
That's really great to hear, especially for any potential arts or music, music within art or
Yeah, like humanities majors.
yeah, arts and humanities majors.
It's just hard. It's harder to navigate because there are less people in EEP that are taking these types of like a large percent of EEP is in STEM and they all have each other. So like
Right.
they ask each other for class advice and they ask each other for this and that. Whereas there's not much advice for like music majors because there's not that many of them. And so, yeah.
It seems like that experience where there's just being a minority major in EEP seems a bit isolating, so it's important to reach out and
Yes.
to get that help that doesn't come immediately because of the sort of
Because I'm
smaller
not
group.
surrounded by them. Yeah, that was a great summary. Yes.
let's say a student is deciding whether or not to apply to EEP. What do you think are the main qualifications and considerations to enter college at such a young age?
Um, yeah, I'd say a big one is maturity. Again, I was very fortunate to have experienced 2 years of high school, and the difference between middle school and high school is huge. I was in middle school, I thought it was so fun and it was so great and I knew everyone, and then I went to high school and there's like 2,000 people at school, and you really realize like how small you are because there's so many people in high school. It was a humbling experience. But I think the main thing is maturity, because people who try out for EAP and end up in the summer school situation, I forget what it's called, honors college?
Honors Academy.
Honors Academy. People who end up there are obviously academically very smart. At least in the past for us, we had to take the SAT and the ACT. And I think they're bringing that back this year. So obviously, they're already qualified academically to be here. And so what's really left is what's on the inside. Like mentally, are you prepared to talk to professors professionally? Are you prepared to network with college students that are 5 years older than you? And if you're not, you're going to have a really tough time. And you might be really smart academically, but that doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't mean much. Of course, it'll be very easy for you while you take classes and stuff, but it might be more difficult for you to find your own social network and your friend group, which if you don't have friends, it's very sad and it's very isolating. So I think you have to be mentally mature and like prepared to be in the college environment.
Yeah, do you think that, I guess, could you say that high school prepared you for this experience?
Yeah, because like I said, like going from middle school where there were like a couple hundred kids to high school where there were a couple thousand kids, I realized how small I was. And that's like similar in college too. You come to campus and there's so many other people around you. The campus is like 10 times bigger than my high school campus. And because I had already experienced that in high school, it wasn't much of a shock to me when I came here. I was a little bit like, wow, that's a lot of people. But I think if I had gone to middle school and then immediately came here, I would have had a really tough time transitioning and kind of realizing that I'm not as like cool and popular as I think, which I feel like might be an issue for some children or some people applying to EAP that are very like academically, like they're super smart, and so their whole life they've been told like, oh, you're so good at math, you're so good at English, you're so smart. They've been met with a lot of praise, and so that kind of adds to your ego a little bit. And like I was like that too when I first got into college. Everyone was like, oh, that's amazing, like you're so good at this and that, whatever. And so because that kind of adds to your ego, it might kind of influence and be really hard to transition when you come to somewhere like a college campus where there's so many people that are smart and so many people that are good at music and so many people that are good at what you do. Some are even better than you. And yeah, I think it was nice that I had that experience in high school, that humbling experience. So when I came here, I wasn't like met with like a shock or anything.
Yeah, I think what you were saying about coming into college at an early age and the contrast between the input that you receive and the people around you that you sort of compare to yourself, and that sort of builds an ego. I think that ties into the next question, which are, what are the pressures and freedoms that come with beginning college before the normal or accepted age?
Yeah, I think, yeah, so like I was saying, like when growing up, I went to a lot of competitions and I won first place and stuff, and again, the ego building. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of good at this. And then I come here and I'm like, oh, there's so many people that are better than me. Again, with the humbling experience. So I think that was it. wouldn't really call it pressure. It's actually kind of nice to have other people that are equally as good as you or even better than you because it serves as a motivation and that I didn't really have before. So I want to keep up with the rest of my friends and the rest of my colleagues. So I practice even harder. I pay more attention in class. So yeah, I think it's kind of like a blessing in disguise. Like, yes, it's pressure, but also it helps to motivate to a certain degree. And that's not to say that you should always compare yourself with others, but just a little bit, just having people around you that are like also really good at the same things that you do. And so you guys can move forward together. I think that's really nice. And the freedom is, I think, just like getting to decide your own schedule. As a music major, it's kind of difficult a little bit because the music department here isn't that big. So usually there's only like one section of a class. So you either can make it to that class or you can't. It's like 3 to 4. There's no other options. You gotta go or you don't graduate. But I know for like STEM majors, they get to pick and choose. Like, I don't think anyone wants to take at 8 a.m. So they can choose to not take that class. And I think it's nice to just decide your own schedule and to also like buy whatever food you want. And after getting my license, it's been even better. And yeah.
Can you elaborate on what the music department here is like for just any entering or considering to enter Cal State LA students?
Yeah, so the music department here, it's not the biggest program, definitely not. But it is a group of really supportive and amazing professors. I've never had like a negative experience with a professor. They're all very nice. They're very helpful. And if you go up to them, they'll definitely talk with you, of course, if they have time. They'll talk with you or they'll schedule a meeting with you. And they're very willing to help out. And I really like that about the music department. And I'm very close to a lot of professors, which I feel like some STEM students might not have because they have like huge lecture halls. There's like 100 students, so they don't really get the engagement with the professor. For us, it's like 30 students max in a class. And so all the professors kind of know all the students, and all the students know the professors, and it's very nice. And I think it's also really great that we have ensembles. So we have like a wind ensemble, which is kind of like band. We have an orchestra, and it's a great way to bond with other people in the music department that play different instruments or maybe the same instruments. And I just think everyone's just so nice. Everyone's so nice, and it's a great time. And I really enjoy being in the music department here.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And it's sort of like quality over quantity, and that just because it's small doesn't mean it's any lesser. And I parallel that with myself with the physics department. It's sort of smaller, more close-knit, and then you get to know everyone better. So it's all around like a more supportive and uplifting environment.
Yeah.
Where do you think you would be right now had you not come to the early entrance program at Cal State LA?
I'd probably be doing the same thing that I'm doing now, just not in the early entrance program, but I still would have gone down the music pathway, still with piano, still piano performance, probably at a different university, but it'd be quite similar to what I'm doing right now.
So, do you think you've definitely gained a head start through EEP, right?
Yeah, it was when I was in high school, I was very sad because there's not much in high school for classical music. There's the only music thing that you can do in high school is band. And in band, I don't think they play like Beethoven or like Mozart. And they play like marching band things. And my school also didn't have an orchestra. And so I couldn't get experience for that either. And even if I was in orchestra, I would play the flute because I also play flute. But I'd play the flute instead of the piano. So there was not much for me to do as a classical pianist in high school. And it was just like unfulfilling. I'd go to school, I'd come home, and then I'd like practice and do my own things. It was just separated from school completely. And And so after I got here and I got into the early entry program, it was really nice because all my classes were music. All my classes at school were for music. And it was nice to kind of have school and music combined together. And I was very happy to be learning about all these cool new music things that I never got to learn when I was in high school.
Yeah, I think you can really integrate what you want to be the center of your life into your sort of mandatory role as a student,
Yeah.
as a young person.
Yeah. In high school, there's like math, there's English, there's science, but there's not that much for the arts. And so I was very happy when I came here.
That's really great to hear. You are EEP Club Vice President and have been active in EEP Club for a while now. Elections are coming up. A lot of current officers are graduating, including you. What do you think are the expectations of the new officials moving forward? I mean, I think there's a lot of discussion to be had around how EEP is evolving. What do you think about the future of EEP Club?
I think if the new elected officers, if they continue working hard and kind of, I think a really good thing to have is like better time management moving forward and kind of planning out all the events that you want to have at the beginning of the semester or earlier on, which would really help with like funding for ASI reasons and like paperwork and making sure everything is approved before you even start advertising to prevent like maybe you advertise it but it wasn't approved and so now you can't have the event or things like that, to have all the logistics planned out before you start advertising everything. I think that'd be a really good thing for the new elected officers to do. And I just think if they are willing to put in the work and the effort, I think it'll be a great time for everyone. I mean, I had a great time serving as EEP Club Vice President. And yeah, I think it's a fun time and it's a great way for the EEP community to come together and go to events. And even planning these events has made me even closer with the officers like Aaron, Milton, Nitty. We've become even closer because we're planning these events together and it's very fun. And it's also extremely fulfilling to see like the event that you worked on coming to life and people like having fun at the event. And so I'd encourage people to apply for EEP Club and to work hard and make sure that everyone's having a fun time.
Yeah, that's really great to hear, and I totally agree. You are a treasurer/secretary for ASI, which is the Associated Students Incorporated, right?
Yes.
For Cal State LA. What is that job like?
As secretary and treasurer, I actually do more secretary things than treasurer things because we do have a vice president of finance, and so he kind of does the finances. So I do more secretary things. So I do like, oh, it's our vice president of finance.
Hello.
I was just talking about you. So I do more like administrative things. So like meeting minutes, sending out emails, doing roll call, doing biweekly reminders, state of affair reminders. I collect reports from members and upload them all to SharePoint, which was like the main thing that we use for ASI. So kind of just being the middleman for the things that go through email and things online, kind of doing more administrative things. And yeah, I really like the job. It's more like laid back, I guess you could say, because I'm not like out there doing events and things. I'm kind of at home just doing things on my computer. So I think it's a good fit for me because I am quite busy sometimes. And so I really like this position where you can kind of take things at your own pace. Of course, there's like deadlines that you need to meet, but overall, it's a little bit less stressful than some of the other positions might be.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. So I would like to say congratulations. You are going to have a bachelor's degree to your name very soon.
I am.
How have you maintained motivation thus far? And how do you maintain, how do you, how do you plan on maintaining in the future?
um, During COVID, I was very unmotivated. I was like really sad, and it was a weird situation because we got into EEP, and then like one semester later, we were all online, and so I kind of separated from a lot of people during this COVID thing, and I was just very alone and sad and like unmotivated. And I think the main motivation for me right now is just my friends and my family. I want to make them happy and like make them proud. Of course I want to make myself happy and make myself proud too. But it's nice to know that like they have expectations for me, and even if I disappoint them in some way, I know that they'll still be there for me. And because I love them and I want to maintain this relationship, I work hard to make myself happy and make them happy. And I think having friends is really important, especially if you're planning to like skip high school and come directly to college. It took a while for me to build my friend group because of COVID. That was like a big obstacle. But afterwards, towards the end of the online period, I started reconnecting with the friends that I have today, and since then it's been great. And so I'd say they're definitely my biggest motivation.
Yeah, you seem like a very grounded, caring person, so that's really nice to hear.
Thank you.
So let's dive deeper into your experience as a music major.
Yes.
So what has your path through Cal State LA been like? Like, was it just smooth sailing because you knew exactly what you wanted to do? So give us a little more on that.
No. So I touched on this a little bit before, but there's not very many music majors. There's like me and Aaron, or back then. And so I didn't really know what I was doing because, especially at first, it was just me. And so I had no idea what I was doing. Nobody else was doing the same major as me, so I had to like reach out to the department chair by myself, email professors by myself, kind of sort things out just on my own. And I was like 15. I was scared. I didn't want to talk to these big adult professors, but they're actually all really nice. And so I kind of navigated my way through that. I had meetings with the department chair. I had meetings with certain professors, and just to sort things out. I was also very confused on the process of like enrolling in classes, and also because I had done music for so long. I started when I was 3, so by the time I was 15, I had already done it for like 12 years. And so I didn't need to take like beginning level theory class. I didn't need to take piano class, or not beginning level piano class. I didn't need to take those. And so it was kind of difficult trying to figure out how I could like skip them or replace them with other units, and then continue on with some other classes where I'm like learning things, if that makes sense. So like I wouldn't take the super beginner classes because I already knew the content. And so I had to sort that out. I took like a test, like a placement test, to kind of decide what class I should take. And then there's like a piano test that I had to take to skip the piano classes. And it took a while to kind of get things settled. Many meetings with advisors, many meetings with the department chair, like subbing in units for certain classes. It's very confusing, but it's a thing that a lot of music majors in Cal State LA have to do, especially because some classes aren't offered every semester. And so there's like a bunch of things that you can replace, and as long as you talk with the department chair and like the professors, everything gets sorted out pretty nicely. But I think it was just difficult for me to take that first step of like reaching out to them, kind of talking to them, just because I was so scared. And I thought they were like scary people.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah, there's a sort of newness and intimidation factor, and it's all both technical and like social.
Yeah, and like navigating through GET is a big hassle. But now, like my final semester here, I remember just like telling the department chair, hey, can you sub this class for this class? And he was like, yeah, sure, you'll see it in 2 weeks. And so it's nice to see, like, you can even tell through the emails that we've gotten a lot closer. Before I used to send like paragraphs because I was nervous and use like big words. And now they're just very brief and they have like emojis and stuff. And so, yeah.
That's not something you should do if you're first meeting them, though, right?
That's true. But the department chair sends me emojis with his emails. Yes.
I see. Don't send emojis first. You have to wait for them to
Yes.
give you the emoji. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So you have been invited to play all over the world, showing just how talented of a musician you are. What is that like? Global superstar Emily Chen?
It's really fun. It's actually kind of funny. I have motion sickness, so like going on planes is not great for me, but I still do it. Like this past summer, I went to Hungary, and I threw up 8 times on the way there. It was really funny. I'd like sit down for like an hour, and then I'd have to go and like throw up, and then come back,
Oh my gosh.
and then go again. And so it was a tough time, but I made it there and I performed and it was great. So I think just being on the airplane is kind of a struggle for me. But if you look past that, it's really fun kind of seeing other places, and I'm like really grateful for all the opportunities that I get, especially like when I go to Europe to perform. It's really interesting to see how they like embrace the classical music culture, because I went to Vienna this past summer as well after Hungary, and there's like Mozart everywhere. Like there's Mozart banners, there's Mozart chocolates that are sold in like supermarkets, not like gift shops, like everyday supermarkets. Mozart is in there, and you can really tell that they're proud to have like Mozart, because Mozart was born in Vienna, and they're very proud of that. And it was a really interesting experience to see how like society is a lot more connected to classical music compared to here, and it's just really interesting to see different places. I remember the first time I went out of state to perform was when I was 10. I went to New York to play at Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
I don't remember that much. I remember like being backstage and kind of going on, but it was so long ago. But I just remember it was really cool for me and a very interesting experience, and I went with my family. And so that was also very nice. We got to see like the Empire State Building and all these cool things, and I'm very grateful that I'm able to travel because of music and doing what I love to do. And it's actually kind of funny. Like my family, we don't ever have like family vacations. It's usually just like, oh, Emily's going to perform somewhere, so we're all just going to go with her type of vacations. We never really have like a vacation where it's just like for funsies and we're just going just for the fun of it. It's always like, oh, Emily's performing at Hungary, so we're all going to go to Hungary. Or, oh, Emily's performing in New York again, so we're all going to go to New York. And so I think it's very nice to have my whole family there for me, obviously supporting me in the audience and on the airplane when I'm unwell. Yeah, and it's also sometimes the flights and like the hotels are paid for, which is also really great, just like for financial reasons as well. And I'm just always so grateful for all the opportunities that I get. And I might be going to Europe again this summer. We'll see, maybe, if it works out well. And I'm very excited just to see the different things out there and the different cultures.
Yeah, that's really cool. I found it interesting how you saw how different cultures connected with your field of classical music differently. And how do you think, can you elaborate more on maybe America compared to different parts of the world, and maybe how we value less classical music here compared to different parts of the world? And I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, at least compared to Europe, definitely, America is like not as connected to classical music, but it also kind of makes sense because a lot of classical composers are born in Europe and they live there, so you can really tell. And it's also very cool. Like this past summer, again, I went to Mozart's house or like one of his houses, and it was very nice. And it was like inspirational almost. Like I don't know, just like being there and knowing that he lived there and he like went about his day. I don't know, doing whatever he does at his house, and just being there really, I don't know. I felt something, and it made me more inspired and more motivated to play Mozart's music, of course, and like other people. And just, I think being in Europe was a really great inspiration for me and a really great like motivation. And just wanted, it just made me want to practice more. It made me want to come back to Europe. And obviously, if I want to go back, I need to work harder. And so I can go back and experience that again. And in America, there's like less of that because there's not as many composers that were like, or at least the famous classical composers that were like born and raised here. And I think in New York too, it's kind of a different, like New York, there's a lot of Broadway situations. So there's like a lot of small performances going on in New York. Over here, it's like the Walt Disney Concert Hall. Of course, there's like many small performances, but the concert halls are like the couple more important ones or the more prominent ones. So like the Hollywood Bowl, the Walt Disney Concert Hall. In New York, there's like the Carnegie Hall, of course, but also like every street you go on, there's a little musical happening, or there's like a jazz concert happening. And so I'd say in New York, there's a lot of like music being performed just like casually. Over here, it's more professional, and then in Europe, it's just like everywhere. It's just like if you go near a certain composer's hometown, you'll see like posters of them everywhere. Like I visited Hungary, which is where Liszt was born. His face was everywhere.
Wow.
And so it was very interesting. I wouldn't say it's like a culture shock, but it was just very, very interesting. I felt very welcomed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool to see your idols and the people that also have a passion for, or had a passion for the same field as you and sort of stand where they stood. And I understand that it's very inspiring, and I'm happy for you.
Yeah, it's cool to see that, like, just people going about their everyday lives, like just people who aren't even involved in classical music, they still appreciate like Mozart, Liszt, Beethoven, as you can tell from all the marketing that they do.
So you started in classical piano at a very young age. Was there ever a moment that it went from being like, this is something I'm being forced to do, and I am good at it, but to like, this is something that I have a passion for and something I want to do for the rest of my life?
Yeah, I think that passion that you're speaking about developed, like, I think it developed very firmly when I actually got into college. Like, before college, I was like, I want to do it. But after I got into college, I was like, yes, like, definitely I want to do it. And so if we rewind a little bit, like I said, growing up, it was kind of just like my mom telling me. I feel like a lot of families are like this. The mom is like, go play piano, go play violin, XYZ. And so you just kind of do it because you don't want to get yelled at. And it becomes like a chore, like I mentioned. And it's like, oh, I'm going to the competition because my mom wants me to. I'm going to do this because my mom wants me to. And as I grew up, my mom was like, okay, like, I'm tired of telling you what to do all the time and like yelling at you all the time. And so she kind of backed away a little bit. And that's when I started realizing, oh, it's really weird if I don't play piano for a day. Piano was like so ingrained into my everyday life that like if I didn't play piano, I felt weird. It was really odd. It was like if you don't brush your teeth and then you go to sleep. It's just like something's missing. Something's weird. And so it was like part of my daily life. And so I was like, that's weird. And that's when I kind of started realizing I do want to play piano, and I feel like something's missing if I don't play piano, and that's when it started. I'd say like middle school, late middle school, and then going into high school, it kind of developed even more. Then I got into college. I was like, yes, I do want to be a music major. And then I met my piano professor, and he was a really big motivation for me. He was a great motivator. He taught me all these cool new things about piano that I had never even thought about before, and it was like a enlightenment type of thing. I was like, that's crazy. There's so many things that I don't know. There's so much music that I haven't played. Growing up, like I've been doing this for so long, it became very repetitive almost. And it was like, oh, you play Chopin, you play Liszt, you play Beethoven, and you use the same like techniques and so on and so forth. But after I came to college and studied with my professor and a bunch of different professors, I realized there's so many different sides to music. There's of course so many different genres, and they're all very cool. But even for like the thing that I thought I was really good at, I didn't even know that much. I knew like a little sliver of like the big picture. And when I came to college is when I saw that big picture for the first time. And that's when I was like, there's so much to learn. And this is what I want to do. I want to learn it all. I mean, probably take multiple lifetimes to learn it all. But I want to learn as much as I can because there's so much information out there. And there's so many cool things to do with music. And yeah, so I'd say it developed slowly in middle school, and then in college is when I was like, yes, this definitely is what I want to do.
Can I ask you a sort of abstract question? I'm not sure if it will be repetitive, the answer, but what would you say music is to you right now?
I'd say it's, how do I explain this? It's almost like a family member. Almost like how I said about being in my daily routine. It's like, almost like a family member, like a sibling, or like your mom or whatever. You go through ups and downs with it. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm very stressed because of all these performances I have, which relates to music. Like it makes me stressed, it makes me happy. I love performing. It makes me sad if I don't like win a competition. I don't really know if there's like one specific word that I can use to describe it, but it's just always there, and it will always be there no matter what. No matter if it makes me sad, if it makes me happy, I just keep going along with it. It's something like permanent almost. Like I just can't get rid of it. Even if I'm super sad because of it, I will still like with my tears go and practice the piano. Or if I'm super tired, I'll still make some time to go practice the piano. And so I guess it's like a lifelong partner maybe? Yeah, I think maybe like a relationship, like a marriage. I don't know.
That's nice.
It's hard to describe.
That's okay. Thank you for taking on my abstract question.
Of course.
So, I guess compared to like, I don't know, STEM track, like I don't know much about, like, I haven't thought much about what is a music career track. Like, for STEM people, you have this degree and then this next degree, and then after that, and then you go into this phase of your life. Do you have an ultimate career goal as a musician?
I do, at least for now. My career goal is to become a professor. So, similar to my piano professor right now, I want to become kind of someone similar to him. And so, I would perform on the side because I love performing, but I also really enjoy teaching. And I teach students right now. And it's a very fun time. You get to meet all these different students, and you get to meet their parents, and it's very fun. You also kind of get to decide your own schedule as well, after talking to the students and like working things out. So I'd love to perform on the side and also teach at like a professional college level. And of course, I don't think that I'll like immediately make it there after graduation, but maybe in like 10 years, maybe in 20, who knows. But that's my current career goal. And similarly to like the STEM track, it is like 1 degree, and then I'm planning to get like a master's, maybe get my teaching credentials. I do want a doctorate degree. And so it's similar to how like there's multiple degrees. It's not necessary like it is for the STEM pathway. It's not like 100% necessary, but it is something that I would like to do.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And I feel like I said that as if like you shared it on your own whim. I asked you a question, so I don't know why I responded like that. So on to a more lighthearted, less abstract question. Outside of academia, what are your favorite hobbies or pastimes?
I like watching anime. I started watching anime, I think during COVID. I was just bored. I was so bored and lonely. It was a tough time. And so I started watching anime, and I like binged watched like a bunch of them. Like I watched One Piece in like 2 months.
Like all of One Piece?
Yeah, well, up until like whatever was out back then.
Oh,
So
wow.
It was like before the 1000th episode. It was like 950 or something.
Okay.
And then I watched like all of Naruto, and then I don't know, a bunch of other things. And right now I don't really have time to watch anime, unfortunately, but I will in the summer. And besides anime, I also like crocheting. Maybe because I'm like a piano player, I like doing things with my hands. So I also like painting, but it gets kind of messy. So I like crochet, and I think like most of my friends have received gifts from me that like I made from crocheting. It's very fun. It's very like satisfying for some reason. And sometimes I like combine both of them. Like I'll play an anime and then I'll crochet on the side. Like a more chill anime. If it's like a fighting one, I need to like pay attention. But if it's like a chill anime, I'll like play it and crochet and like look up from time to time. And so yeah, I think those are like my 2 biggest hobbies outside of like music. If we're talking music, there's also I really enjoy playing in groups. Because I also play the flute, so like playing in orchestras, playing in wind ensemble, playing chamber music, just making music with your friends is a really fun experience, and just knowing that like I play a small part in such like a big piece is a really cool experience, and so I really enjoy doing that as well.
So I didn't include any questions this far about you playing the flute. What's that like? And also in comparison to playing the piano, which I assume is sort of like your main thing. What's that like? When did you start playing the flute?
So it's kind of funny. I started playing the flute because I wanted to join band in middle school. And so they only had keyboard in jazz band. But in order to be in jazz band, it was like required that you be in concert band. So it's like concert band is the main thing, and jazz band it's like if you want to do it, you can. And so I had to pick an instrument, and I was like, what should I pick? And I was like, you should learn the flute. Why not? And because it's a non-transposed instrument, which is kind of a hassle to explain, but some instruments like the note that you see on the page is not the note that sounds. It's like you see a C, but it sounds like a D. It's kind of interesting. But for piano and flute, I already knew how to read the music notes. They're not transposed. And so it was pretty simple for me to pick up, and it's like light. I'm not like playing like a tuba or anything. I don't think I'd survive that. And so I started learning when I was in 4th grade to join the band in 5th grade. And that's kind of just how it happened. I started learning, I was in band, and then I joined like a youth orchestra that I'd go to on Saturdays. And because it wasn't like piano, my mom wasn't very strict with it. She was just like, oh, she's just doing it for fun. And so for a while, I actually really enjoyed playing the flute, maybe even more than piano, because I just did it for fun. Whenever I was playing flute, I was with my friends in band. I was with my friends with orchestra. We were performing at Knott's Berry Farm, performing at Disneyland. Like, I had a lot of fun because I learned the flute, and I'm really grateful and I'm really happy that I picked up the instrument. And I liked it so much that even when I got to college and decided my piano major, I still continued playing flute. And right now I'm in our school's wind ensemble. We have a concert soon. And it's really fun just playing with a group. Piano is a lot of solo things because in piano you can play the low notes, you can play the high notes, you can play 10 notes at a time if you wanted to. So, but for flute, it's like only the high notes. So usually you'd play flute with some other instruments. And because piano is just me by myself, I never really knew what it was like to play with other people. And so when I experienced that, it was very fun. It was a fulfilling experience. There are times when I play in groups that like I'm so touched by the music that I'm hearing from ourselves, and like knowing that I'm just a small part contributing to this like large virtuosic work is very, very like heartwarming, very like I'm so happy that I'm a part of this music, and knowing that like my friend that I love is like right behind me, and another friend is like playing the violin up there, and another one's playing the tuba back there, and just knowing that we're all working together to create this like great, amazing sounding piece of music is just such a fulfilling feeling. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, playing in a group sometimes like makes me more happy than like playing a solo piece where I'm just by myself. And it's also very fun because like after performances we'll go out to like eat and just like hang out, and because of flute and because I joined so many ensembles, I made a lot of friends. And I think if I didn't play the flute, I would not have as many music department friends as I do right now. Like most of my friends in the music department I met through wind ensemble because we're all in the same group together. We're all rehearsing together. We all spend time together. During breaks we talk to each other. Yeah, I think it was a really good decision, and I'm really happy I made this decision of playing the flute.
Yeah, it's really nice to hear how music is not only like a solo thing for you, you are very talented at it by yourself, but it's also a means of connection with other people. And I can sort of feel the passion radiating off you right now, and it's really nice to hear. So the final question I have for you today is, do you have an idol? If so, why and how long? And if not, then...
I don't know if I have one specific idol. I have like idols for different things. So some of them are my friends. So like I have a friend named Nitty. She's a great work ethic. Like, she's so on top of things. It's kind of crazy. And similarly, like Dr. Moss, who is the conductor of the wind ensemble here, and she's also a professor. She is also very on top of things. She is like juggling so many things at once, and she just stays on top of it all. And she's very good at handling all the work that she has to do, and it just really inspires me. And so whenever I have to juggle a lot of things at once, so like basically right now, I'm like on the verge of like a mental breakdown, I think of like, what would Dr. Moss do? What would Nitty do? And so they're kind of like my idols around like work ethic. And then for like piano, I really like Yuja Wang. I went to see a concert with her, with Aaron, last semester, and it was so amazing. It was crazy. We were like on the verge of like tears. We were like obnoxious on the way home. I felt bad for my dad. We were like screaming in the car. Like, that was so amazing. And it's just the way she presents herself. She's so confident, and you can really tell that she loves what she does. And she's just, I aspire to be like her, technically and just like mentally, confidence-wise. She's amazing. And then there's like a bunch of other other people that I think about for different situations, like socially, if there's like a friend that's like really good at talking to people, I think, oh, what would they do in this situation? And so yeah, I wouldn't say I have one specific idol. I definitely have many, and they're usually just like people around me that I often think about when I'm in difficult situations.
Yeah, that's really nice. And hearing all of this, I just want to say you're also a really amazing person that I'm honored to have met at my time in EEP. And I think that concludes all my questions for you, and I'm very happy you could be here.
Thank you. Thank you for all the hard work that you put into this.
Of course.
Yay.
All right. Ending applause. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did not touch my water. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I didn't either. I drank one sip of coffee.
It's a prop.